What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and I am here today with the review for Marriage and Medicine, Season 7, Part 3. So, this reunion, Part 3, wasn't a lot, but, I don't even know. I really don't know that this video is going to be very long because it didn't give it really just wasn't very much to talk about. But without further ado, you guys, let's go ahead and just jump right into the video. Alright, you guys, so the episode, it basically picked up where last week's episode left off with Simone and Heavenly arguing with one another. Now, eventually, because Contessa took Heavenly out of the room. But, they went back and forth with each other. I definitely get Simone's whole thing. Like, the fact that Heavenly keeps talking about Cecil, it's a low blow. Like, you're going to talk about my husband, but here you are, you don't want nobody to say shit about your husband. So if you're gonna bring my husband down, I'm gonna bring Damon ass down too, just right along with it. So I definitely get where Simona's coming from. So then we also have Andy. He's still talking to the men, and he's talking to the men about their relationships. Like, how do they make their relationships 50-50? They say, I mean, you can't really make it 50-50 because sometimes it could be an 80-20. It could be 80-20. Other times it could be 60-40. It's never truly 100% 50-50. But what you have to do is you have to work towards it, which I agree with that, even though I'm not in a relationship or I'm not married. But I definitely agree when it comes to a relationship. There's no such thing as a 50-50 in a relationship. Each person has to give their do what they can do in a relationship. And for them, I'm pretty sure it's even more difficult being married to physicians. So, I definitely commend them, and I'm not going to knock them. So, so backstage, like I said, the drama is still going on between Simone and Heavenly. So they do eventually make up with each other. And Simone says, to Heavenly, like, Heavenly, I get it. She says, you're sensitive just like I am. But, when you started talking about the fact that Caesar didn't have a job and I want him to get a job, she says, America didn't know that. Only you knew that. Simone, we kind of didn't. Excuse me, y'all. Simone, we did know that. You made that clear at the reunion. I can't remember, what was that, 2 years ago you made it clear at the reunion that you weren't happy about the fact that when he was doing that fucking app, we knew you were not happy about that. So, yeah, whatever, Simone. But they eventually made up with each other, and that was it for that scene. I'm like, wow, that was quick. But I'm happy that was quick. So Heavenly and Simone are good for now. All right, you guys. So now all the ladies and the men are on stage with Andy, and Andy is asked a question of Simone and Cecil. What do they credit to saving their marriage? Simone says she credits the friendships with the cast members on stage to saving her marriage, and then they showed that clip of her at the reunion in 2018, which not Heavenly, but Toya was giving her some advice about how to make things work in her marriage. So she definitely just credits the group for saving her marriage. And I'm like, that's cool. And Jackie says the same thing as well. She thanks the group for helping her with her marriage. I just don't know why Jackie took Lurch back. But I mean, she must really love him to take him back. I always look at Dr. Jackie and I just still think to myself, like, there is no fucking way I would have took his ass back. But whatever. So we also find out that Dr. Jackie's home is not complete, that they're currently living in the basement. They didn't have a roof either, but they're going to have to move out next week. And, so Andy asked a viewer question. I forgot what the question was, but it was about Jackie's career and how does he handle everything. And he says, when it comes down to Jackie, anything that fulfills her, he doesn't want her to not do it. Like, if that's work, then go for it. But, I think what it is she needs to find a balance between work and home. And I feel like if Jackie really wants to do it, she will do it. And that's just how I feel. So, so then Andy asked Quiet, how does she feel? Because, he asked a question of about Greg. And for her to hear that Greg is still in love with her, and she says that, Andy asked her, does she still believe that? And she says, yes, I do believe that my ex-husband, she said my husband, then she called herself and said my ex-husband. She says, yes, I do feel that my ex-husband is definitely still in love with me. And she says, it definitely did leave an impact on me. So, you know, I think in that relationship, there were a lot of it. I can't solely put it on Quad and I can't solely put it on Dr. G. It was a collective on both of their parts. The thing I feel with Quad and Dr. G is I feel like Quad and Dr. G, before they got married, I don't think that they fully just sat down and had a conversation with each other about what their expectations was in the marriage, what they wanted out of the marriage, and what they wanted in the future. I don't feel like they sat down with that. Because if they had done that, I don't feel like Dr. G and Quad would have ever gotten married, to be totally honest. Because they were on, I can't even say they were on two different pages. They were in different books. And the biggest thing was Dr. G wanting kids and Quad not wanting kids. That was the biggest issue facing those two. And that's why I say I just don't know if they ever really 100% sat down with one another and had a conversation about that. Now, if they did, somebody wasn't listening to the other person. And I would have to say that it was probably Quad not listening to Dr. G. But, they're not together anymore. I feel like they're probably better apart because after the stuff that we heard at last year's reunion about those two, definitely volatile, definitely dysfunctional, and it just wasn't conducive or what either one of them needed. So, all's well that basically ends well. I guess you could say that much. All right, so next we talk about Mariah. A viewer asked the question of what is Black Adeshi. Black Adeshi is literally something that Mariah made up. Then she said she hasn't really talked about Black Adeshi in a long time. I think that was something she talked about season 1, and again, it's something that she made up. But I'm not gonna talk bad about her. Talk bad about it because she's black. Aiden's from Bangladesh. Nothing wrong with that. I think it's cool. You know, I would actually love to learn a little bit more about Aiden's religion. I would actually like to just learn a little bit about it, learn a little bit more about it. So I think it's actually pretty cool, to be quite honest with you guys. Speaking of Mariah, so I was driving and I was on YouTube, and Mariah's YouTube channel popped up in my thing as something that I might want to watch. So I did watch her review of last week's reunion. I don't know why I did that, because in her video, it's like she didn't take accountability for anything, because she kept saying that she did not bring up this whole situation between Lake and Quad. And I'm like, Mariah, you are clearly lying, because you mentioned that at last season reunion. I'm not knocking you for bringing it up because Quad mentioned you just allegedly doing drugs. So you just had to, sting her back or something. Do I believe that there's something there? I don't know. I don't know, and I don't honestly care. But I just wanted Mariah to be open about, yeah, I said it. Because she's talking about why she brought Lake around this season. Why she said Lake was at the reunion. I'm not knocking that. And she's talking about, Lake is not a cast member, so why are we talking about this? That is a good question. Why are we talking about it if she's not a cast member? But the reason why we're talking about it is because you brought it up. So why not talk about it? But so then the question about Ramadan comes up, and why at that table did they call Quad a hoe? And she was like, that did not happen. Yes, it happened. And she's like, well, it did happen, but I was trying to shut it down. No, you were not trying to shut it down. Yeah, you weren't trying to shut that down, because if you wanted to shut it down, you would have been like, hey, this is Ramadan. I don't even know why we bring a Quad up, because your mama was talking about Quad, and then Lake was talking about Quad, and then some other woman chimed in to call. No, that was Lake. They called her a hoe. But yeah, y'all called her, like, I get it. And then, she's upset because, she was like, that's a few seconds that you guys showed, whereas we have been filming for, so long. And I really just want people to know more about Ramadan. And why would I talk about Quad for Ramadan? Good question. Why would you talk about Quad for Ramadan? But you did it nonetheless. And again, I'm not going to knock Mariah, but, I got her point from the fact that she wanted to shed more light on her religion and Ramadan. That's fine. But why did Quad have to come up in that conversation in the first place? That I just didn't understand. why bring Quad up in a subject when you're talking when this is about observing your religious beliefs. If you're doing this for, doing your religious stuff, leave that other petty bullshit to the side. Like, I don't understand it. So then Aiden, he's getting upset and he's coming to Mariah's defense. He's trying to talk, and then Quad chimes in and he tells Quad to be quiet. And Quad's like, wait a minute, you don't tell me to be quiet. And Andy was like, Quad, please be quiet. I want him to talk. And she kept going. And Andy was like, will you please be quiet? Now she got offended by Aiden telling her to be quiet, and I get it. He shouldn't. I get it. He probably shouldn't have said it. But Andy's telling you to be quiet. What's the difference between Aiden and Andy? Oh, that's right. Andy's your boss. That's a big difference right there. But Aiden did apologize to Quad. I could have dealt without that scene, but I mean, I did want to know why did we bring her up at Ramadan. It didn't make a lot of sense to me, but let's move on, you guys. All right, you guys, and now we're just gonna basically wrap this up because the next three things wasn't really much. So we talked to Contessa about school. Why didn't Contessa go to a school in Atlanta? She said the reason why she didn't go to a school in Atlanta is because what she was trying to achieve, she couldn't get that in Atlanta, so that is why she went to Nashville. And we also talked to Scott about the fact that he did talk to the kids poorly about Contessa. And he said he didn't see it at first, but then once he saw it and he heard it from her, that he definitely apologized to her, and I'm glad he did that. We also find out that Contessa is going to graduate, I'm assuming, this summer from her program. So congratulations are in order to Contessa for that one. They talk about, the fact of raising kids and how Scott made it out to be like he was doing so much more than what Contessa was. And he says that with them, they have a shared responsibility. And I have to agree with the women about the fact that the men, the women do so much with the kids, but then when the men have to do it, it's, I have to do this, I have to do that. But that's what your wives do all day, every day. So what's so different from what your wives do as opposed to what you're doing right now? No difference. Like, so I mean, I definitely got that point. So then we also talk about, we talk about the trip in Mexico, about the men going to the strip club. Heavenly, I still have to say, Heavenly is insecure about. She said, calling insecure, whatever. It is insecure. I mean, not every woman wants your husband. Like if at a strip club, chicks just want to get chicks are just trying to do their job and get paid. That's all they want to do. Most women are not in the strip clubs. Most women are not trying to fuck your husband. They just want they just want the dollar bills, the rain, whatever you got, the dollar bills, the 100 bills, whatever you got. They just want that shit to rain on them, and so they can go home, either take care of their kids, put themselves to school, whatever they got to do. And I mean, you do have some women who will do it, but in most cases, I don't think those women. In most cases, women are not trying to do that. But then we decide to have this uncomfortable conversation about sex, about why Toya wants to have sex with Alicia Keys. Then she also said she would love to have sex with Jada Pinkett Smith. I'm like, I could have dealt without this. And Eugene said he basically just wants Toya not to have conversations about having sex with women because he doesn't want to hear about his wife's past sexual experiences, which I understand that part. We talk about the fact that Heavenly want to sleep with Terrence Howard, how Contessa wants Michael Strahan, and Scott says, well, shit, the crazy thing is she's met Michael Strahan, so now I got to look at her messages. So then we're starting to wrap up the reunion, you guys, and this one little thing caught my attention. When I guess Quad must have went to the restroom or something, and Andy was like, where's Quad? Because he's like, I would love to get home. I want to get home to tuck my son in bed. I'm like, Andy, that is so fucking rude. I get it. You want to get home to your child, but you knew how long this. I mean, I think either you or the production company says how long these reunions last. So, whatever. Moving on. So then, to just wrap it up, we did get a preview of Married to Medicine Los Angeles. So we're going to see Heavenly there. We're going to see, who else is going to be there? No. Heavenly, Contessa, and I think Toya. I think those are the three that we're going to see in Los Angeles this season. I know last season it was Heavenly, I believe it was Contessa, and I think it was Simone that met them last year. I can't remember. I don't remember. But you know, and then we also kind of talk about, you know, sex again. But this time it was with the kids. You know, people appreciated the fact that Simone had the sex talk with her sons about consent, and then they were talking about her with the 14-year-old young girl. Heavily, like she gonna do that with her daughter, but it's not about the fact that your daughter's not doing having sex. The kids that your daughter could be hanging around with could be having sex, so it's better to educate her now than, you know, to be surprised when she comes home with the baby. But you guys, that is the end of season 7 of Married to Medicine. So be sure to like this video, leave your comments, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell notification button so you guys know when I drop anything. Also share this video, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for Love and Hip Hop New York and Miami. Until then, guys, later.